Hi everyone, my name is Charlie, and this is Charlie, and today we are here just to chat, really, catch up with each
Yeah.
other, even though we speak to each other regularly. People don't see that, so we're just here to emphasize that there ain't no feud. We're both here in our very calm colours, forest, just to,
This is the most serene place that we've ever been to.
Yeah, we don't generally do serene. Would you like to talk about what you've been getting up to in your life since we last did one of these videos at the end of
In a hot
2024?
minute, I hosted my readathon. That's
You
going to be on
did?
my list, which is good. We raised some money for bowel cancer. I also raised some money for Book Trust, which actually today I received a letter about.
How much did you actually raise in the end?
For Book Trust, we raised £500,
Yeah.
which is quite cool. So yeah,
It-
everything. I know there are people, subscribers to me too, and have bought book. So yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
yeah, thank you to the people who actually sent money to sponsor this whole thing so that Charlie could send that money off to Book Trust. And then you've hosted the plod alongs again. Women's Prize now actually has a winner. I can't remember who. Who won?
Got the Safe Keep and for the fiction,
Oh, goodness.
and then also we've got the Story of a Heart, which is my favorite book of the year for the non-fiction.
Oh well, then you see, if we'd done Charlie and Charlie Science, then you would have been minted, wouldn't you?
These were my favourite books from both lists, even though I didn't really read much of the fiction, but I read loads of the non-fiction, and from both of the lists, both my favourites one from both lists, which I was like, that hardly ever happens. I say because I think last year my favourite for the fiction one, Brotherless Night one
Oh
last
yeah,
year.
I didn't pull a bit all last year. I still like. Hopefully, the library doesn't want the copy back because if they want it back this week, then my copy of the Safekeep needs to go back on Thursday.
What have you been up to, my Charlie?
Well, I released a book.
Yes, you did.
I did that back in February. I had a bit of a tumultuous start to the year where it was deaths and disease and just everything at the start of the year. So anyone who follows this channel knows that I haven't uploaded as many videos this year, and it just came from the fact that unlike last year, so many things changed both within like the personal life and at work. So I didn't really have much time for any reading. So I February was a washout book wise, and that continued, and I didn't really pick up reading again until May. So for me, the fact that we're in the final week of June is a huge surprise because it's just felt like constant bombardment of all these other things. And now that I'm in a bit of a restful, touchwood place, I'm now able to be like, oh, wait, I didn't realize all that time had passed because it's just felt like being in this constant tumult of things.
How
But
many books have you read so far this year?
49 books.
You're at 49 books. And
Yes,
how
because
many of
I
them?
was reading it the other day thinking how I usually like to read 10 books a month, so I should be at 60 by now. And I know that I'm behind on where I've been in previous years. How about you?
I want to be reading less, and I am reading less than normal because that's not actually speaking. This is another one of my goals actually. So we are talking about goals. I've read 56 books. So I've read less than I normally would have, but I'm still reading more than I want to read. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whereas I'm not reading as much as I want to read. So really, we just need to switch the things we're doing. But since
Yes.
you have mentioned it, should we just talk about our goals and how we're getting on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what
Should we
is,
do a goal and a goal and a goal and a goal?
that's exactly what I was thinking. We're
I
in it.
know we're so in sync.
Yeah, there you go. So what was your first goal?
My first goal was to read 5 big books.
And how are you getting on with that?
3. It says I've got 3, but I'm nearly finished my fourth. So
Ah, but
yeah, so I've read Tracker by Alexis Wright, which obviously was on the Women's Prize for Nonfiction, Tiananmen Square by Lei Wen, the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, and I'm nearly finished, well, hopefully finished today, Lorna Doone.
and what constitutes a big book?
Ideally over 400 pages, but I think normally around about the 500 page mark, I normally say, but like 4 to 500 pages plus.
Well, that's good. And if you do finish Lorna Doone today, then does that mean the goal's completed, or will you still have one more?
One more.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we're only halfway, not even quite halfway yet.
I know, but I also feel like if you get that done, then you'll be like ticked off the list. You won't think about that for the rest of the year.
Yeah, but I like a big book, so I might just end up reading more, and that will also help slow my reading down.
That's true. Maybe that's what you need to do. You don't need to read any less than you are doing. You just transfer your reading time to bigger books, like Anna
I
Karenina.
also do want to read less pages overall, so
Yeah. My first one was to read the Doctor Who books from my shelves, and I specified that I would like to have read 10. And at the beginning of the year, this was going quite well. I'd got it into my head that I was going to do this whole Doctor Who thing of reading one of the Eighth Doctor adventures every Sunday, but that didn't happen. I read one in February, and that was the end of that. Like, I read two in January, one in February, and then that was the end. I am enjoying them and seeing the different styles that people are doing. And I've just found out that Paul Mars, who's here on YouTube, has just put a charity anthology together, Party Like It's 1998. And there are a few people whose writing I've read before who I've enjoyed in that. And even somebody I went to school with has a tale in there. So I
They
might,
Doctor Who inspired.
yeah, all of them are Doctor Who inspired, and I'm looking forward to getting that because then I'm going to add it to the list of Doctor Who books to read. I specified 10. I think I can still do the 10 because it only means reading seven more. The point of the goal was to get through the book, so
I always pick five as a number because I feel like it's less off-putting because I feel like it's more achievable. And if you end up reading, I feel like if I put 10 on it, it would always put me off personally as a
yeah, I,
Charlie.
I chose that many of them because of how small the books are.
Easy. Yeah, easy to get through.
Yeah.
I have. I need to. I might. I do want to try and because I know my library does have some of these, so I might try and find some more to read because I did. I did enjoy one I read. They're very like quite fun, aren't they? Quite fun reads.
Yeah, and these ones were like almost wilderness years books. The BBC saw how successful other companies had been with their books, so they decided to continue Paul McGann's series in a book format. There's a comic book format. There's obviously the Big Finish audio. So there's various different ways his Doctor can be presented, and so it's been interesting to see the stories that they're creating with this series.
And the Big Finish audio, sometimes they have actors from the actual show, don't they?
Oh no, they do generally like you've got continuation. So they've
River
got
Song's in it as well, isn't she? Like
yeah,
I can't
River
remember the name of
Song's
the
got a
episode.
series. Michelle, what's her face, has a series
Gomez.
with Missy,
Yeah.
and it's just like there are some interesting tales there where different companions get to meet different doctors. You can listen to some of them on Spotify. I've enjoyed what I've heard, and I've enjoyed what I've read. I just need to do more. Anyway,
The
what
thing
was
is, that we're talking about Doctor Who. Can I show them my bookmarks?
sure?
Because these literally just came in the post. And I was going to show them on my channel, but I'm with you, so exclusive for Charlie's channel
I'm just
as well.
hoping
I
you're
can't
going
make
to
sure I
show up
put
on
them.
the screen. Yeah.
I ordered them too, so they're from. I think they're called from the Geek Monkey. Charlie can link them in the description.
Okay.
I've got all the previous ones of the Geek Monkeys,
Okay.
previous bookmarks of all the previous Doctors from Christopher Eccleston upwards, so New Who upwards, and these are the obviously we've got the 14th Doctor and then the 15th Doctor. They have. I think they've been on the website for a hot minute, but I hadn't actually purchased them yet. I love them so much. I'm so glad to have them in my collection.
I mean, you love them, and I immediately get like flashbacks to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. A monster called the Face Stealer came along.
Oh, because they're blank faces. But I know, I just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm really, I'm excited by them. So
Okay.
yeah. And then also I've got my little.
You're-
I told Charlie I was going to show this. My little Duggadoo badge.
But nobody else can get that because they're sold out.
Yeah, sold out. So you can't get them, but you can support the website, which I'll get Charlie to link because Jamie, who runs it, donates money to a queer homeless charity.
Yeah.
I think that's right. And you can still buy TARDISes, so all the money goes from them.
So
You know,
but get yourself a TARDIS.
a TARDIS badger.
So, what was your next goal?
Oh yeah, I think I've got read friends' favourites, which so I had a list of books. I got asked some of my friends to pick some books for me to read, even including yourself.
At least I now know what that was all about.
Yeah, you told me to read. There was an Elizabeth Taylor one that I've still got.
Doesn't surprise me. that's who I am.
I want to again. I want to try and I've got a long list of friends on. Not a long list of friends. That sounds like I'm bragging. I've got a list of. It's not actually like a long list.
Well, you
but,
say long list, and immediately I go straight to like prize lists, and I'm thinking, oh my,
Sorry.
she's going to cut them down until she finds a winner.
I've got some of my friends listed.
Okay.
Some of them. Yeah, I've only read one, which isn't actually the best, really, is it?
Well, I'm not getting on with my goals, so.
But you know what? It's real. So I've read one out of 14 people. So you know,
Yeah.
that's okay.
My next, I put two authors on my list to read, which was Barbara Pym and Benjamin Myers, and completely forgot that I planned to do this for the year. And so Barbara Pym, I've read one book, and Benjamin Myers, I've read two.
That's still quite good.
So I
That's
hope
3 books.
it's three, but I'd hoped to be further along with my reading of their works.
It's because previous years you've done really amazing with this
Previous years,
particular
I've done
one.
one every single month, and it's been like Elizabeth Taylor, Kate Atkinson. It felt like I got a faithful. I know this book's going to be good, and even though I've enjoyed what I've read by both authors, I felt
Nothing's
like
going to
I've
stand up.
maligned them and read books that I haven't wouldn't books I haven't liked as much when I could have been reading these authors and enjoying them.
That's fair.
Yeah. So that's one that I'm hoping to sort out in the next few months. So what was your next one?
I have got the Read Good challenge, which I am up to date with currently.
I accidentally ended up doing stuff for that challenge.
I
Like,
can say what I've read. So I've read The Guernsey Litter and Potato Peel Pie Society for Annuary.
yeah.
I've read Flame Up, that was for Flamery. And then for the Ides of the March, I read Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fito. And then Women's Prize nominee, I read Sister in Law, obviously a Women's Prize for non-fiction one by Harriet Weistrich. And Deja Vu, I read Shuggy Bane, or Ritza for a reread. So I read Shuggy Bane by Douglas Stewart. And reading Shame for Goodness, I'm nearly finished, like I said, Lorna Doone. So that's been on my shelves for since I started BookTube in 2018.
But with you mentioning about rereading, that was my next goal. Reread
Oh,
books.
good. That's good.
And I'm sure I've reread more than this, but one book that I've read twice this year
Yeah.
is Emotionally Weird by Kate Atkinson.
Yeah, you do love that book, though.
I do
That's
love
definitely
this
one of your
book, but
favourite books.
I know for a fact that it's not even Kate Atkinson's best work, and so many people get annoyed by this book. I was at an event recently, and somebody was asking who was my favorite author at the moment, and I said Kate Atkinson and mentioned this book, and I said, but I don't recommend it to go to if you haven't read her before. And I said, and I think a lot of people who like Kate Atkinson hate this book because it just mocks literature so much, and it's exceptionally confusing and stupid, but I really enjoy that about it. And
It's almost like a comfort one to you because that's how often you read it, isn't
yeah,
it?
that's what it's become. But for years, I wanted that sort of book. I want like when I was younger, every weekend I would reread like a Jacqueline Wilson book and I reread more when I was younger because I had so few books on my shelves anyway. You know, I was poor. So I would just pull a book off the shelf and reread it. And most of my books from childhood have fallen apart and gone now
I love that.
because of how much I reread them. And I wanted to find a book as an adult that I could do that with. For me, I would rather have shelves where every single book's been read and I'm just rereading them constantly than regularly adding books that I might not enjoy. And then we said we'd mention this because both of us, I think, were incredibly shocked that it finally happened. Magnus Powellmouse.
Yes, you need to
Yeah.
mention this. This
I
is a
mentioned
epic
it in a
moment.
video recently. It was a haul. I did not think that I was ever going to find this book. This one was one that I read when I was in year four, and I was in Mrs. Johnston's class, and I really enjoyed it. And then I never found the book again. And then I said that I would get it out, or I would find it from the charity shop. That had to be the thing, or a secondhand bookshop. But I had to find it myself. I gave myself this silly little quest. And then it was in a bag at the shop one day.
I
And
screamed when Charlie sent me the message. Charlie messaged me straight away, didn't you?
I stopped instantly in the shop. Like I was in the kitchen, I just stopped, got my phone out and sent a picture and couldn't believe it.
I think I luckily saw it like very quick, like straight away,
Oh, yeah,
and
you responded instantly.
yeah, I
Um,
screamed. I saw it and I screamed, and I could not believe it. I literally stopped everything I was doing, and I was like, "This is amazing."
I did the same thing. I stopped everything I was doing and went and just sat down in the middle room, completely shocked that I'd found it. And then I
Yeah.
reread it that weekend. And for me, it just stands up. Like, I know it's a children's book, and it's one of those where every children's book is completely unrealistic, but it's just a happy book. So I was very glad to have it and that be one of my rereads of the year.
That's
An
amazing. I'm
unexpected
so
one.
happy for you. I think that's like the coolest thing this year.
So
Cheers.
for me, yes, definitely. It's definitely like I said, it kind of overtook the highlight of bringing out my own book finding that one.
Oh no,
Um,
no, no! I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that.
oh no, no, I said that.
No, but I think it's just so cool. It's like
Yeah,
such
no,
a
no,
wonderful
I did.
moment.
I said that myself. Like for me, that was the one. It kind of overtook it because of how long I've been waiting to find that book.
But I really, really love your new book.
Um,
Everyone needs to read all your Charlie books,
but like, yeah, they do. If everyone would buy my books, then
especially your cozy crime. Like your cozy crime books are like, I think because obviously loving the Doris books as well and loving all your Doris books, but these are like your new cozy crime series is like the most fun, and it's also got the perfect balance of being like keeping you on your edge of your seat where you want to keep turning the pages, but then also I don't know, it's like heartwarming and funny, and it's just so wonderful. It's like the perfect book. I do genuinely think that. I do.
Well, good
I love
because
it.
I paid you to say it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Next time I will be featured in the
The
in the
acknowledgement. I'm still upset about that. Like of all the people that have helped me with this book and heard me talking about it for years, and I forgot to put your name in the acknowledgements.
I'm
That, that,
salty.
that was where Charlie and I thought people are definitely going to think there's a feud now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll live it down one day. So, what was your next goal?
Fave books of the month list. So yeah, I've got that, and I can go through them quickly. I have been doing it, which is so my favorite so far. I've got so my favorite books of the month so far on here. I've got The X-Man's Carnival by Catherine Chidgey, and for February I've got two Women's Prize for non-fictions. I've got Embers of the Hands by Eleanor Barraclough and Utlin by Jenny Fagan. Both amazing, but for very different reasons. The Story of a Heart was my March favourite book. Obviously, that's my favourite book of the year so far. April was The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I loved that book. I still really, really want to read the next book, and you told me not to wait too long, so I need to make
Yeah.
sure I do that. For my May choice, which was my favourite of the month, was Mare by Ankarad Hampshire, which historical fiction. And also, side note, the author is just so lovely. Like, I properly think she's like, it's nice when an author is just super lovely. Like, I follow
I
her on
wouldn't know
Instagram.
anything about that.
Sorry?
I try not to be lovely.
You are lovely. You're my friend.
Yeah, but we know that I'm not a lovely person. I make
You
a career
are.
out of it.
I think you are.
Don't be saying this. I will lose all credibility.
Okay. Okay. What's your next goal?
So I'm going to put two together here because they're both
Okay.
writing. One was finish writing another novel, and one was finish the second poetry collection. I don't know that I'm going to finish the novel this year. Part of me is like, oh yeah, I can do this. I just need to knuckle down and do it. But recently, I went to the Society of Authors group in Manchester, and although I've continued to work on the novel since then and finished another part, and I'm quite far into it, like part of me is wondering, do I need to go back and start all of this again? So I'm very unsure of the way this book's going now after hearing
Would
some comments
potentially you
back.
then start the next cozy crime?
I wouldn't because
You need to get that one
I
finished.
need to get this book out there. Whilst it's connected to the Cozy Crime series and you don't have to have read it, I think it might be nice for people to see how the characters who are related to certain things are getting on. But also, I don't know whether I'm going to try traditional publishing with this one, so it's a weird one. And then the poetry collection, I was getting loads and loads of poems written for this, but I think that I just need to get some more landscape poems in there before it's finished. And the first poetry collection took me 10 years. It's only been 2 years. Well, it's not even 2 years yet since the first one came out. So I'm not too stressed about getting it out there. I'd like to get more poems in magazines and anthologies and that sort of thing first before bringing this one out. So that's where I am with
Feel
that.
like that sounds like you're in a good place with both of those things. Like, kind of. I know
Yeah.
like you're
But
at a little bit of like a pause until you work out what you're doing, but
yeah.
I'll go through two at the same time then as well. Then I will say it was one of the things was to host books for bowel cancer, which obviously I did, and we raised money as well as awareness. I feel like so many people joined in. I had so much positive feedback and I heard so many touching stories from people that had seen those videos and like obviously cancer affects everybody, and I don't know, I was just really really proud to have done that personally. And then I've got my next goal because I'm just not, these don't go together. These I'm just mentioning them because I'm trying to like
Um,
smush two goals like you just did.
I mean,
um
mine were related to each other. So,
yes, I know, but I'm smushing them. So I've got I said ideally keep my physical TBR below 50 and aim to read what I own, which currently it is below 50. But I think that I feel like that's quite manageable as long as I'm keeping to read the books that that I currently own. You go to your next one.
yeah, my next one was to try and develop a writing routine. This is one where when I have the time, I can develop a writing routine. But when like the change happened at work and my rota changed earlier this year, it meant that I wasn't able to get into a rhythm of things. Whereas previously I would be off work on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. Now I'm off on a Thursday and a Friday. And so having those 2 days together, I already have stuff on a Thursday, which means that the only writing day I now get is a Friday. That's the day before I'm going into work. it's like difficult to get into the rhythm of things. And I did attend a workshop about making the time to write and finding that time to write. And I have started this whole Pomodoro method of things where I write for 25 minutes, take a break, read for 25 minutes, take a break, write. So that I am getting that balance there, which is what I wanted. So I know that I can have a writing routine there, but I don't currently have the time where I can settle down and have a committed thing like I've had in the past, where I would start writing at 9 o'clock in the morning, go for the whole morning, walk the dog, and then that would be my writing done for the day in a nice block. So,
Like you go through phases though, don't you? Like you said, you go through phases where you're really on it and in it, and but I feel like that's creativity because you can't like necessarily turn it on like a tap, can you? It's
yeah.
not like
And
that's
well, I
not.
can write my way into things, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'll end up working on the novel. But I have spoken to somewhere in town and said, if home is getting to a point where I can't writing it, I've been thinking that I could come down here, and they've agreed that if I want to, I can either go into, they have a covered courtyard, or I can go upstairs into their bit that isn't open during the day. They've no problem with letting me up there just so that I can get some work done. Now, I'm hoping to keep this thing ongoing of, I can't remember what it's called, but basically you invite a load of people to a place, you write for 2 hours on the work you're working on. And I like to get a few more of those sessions ongoing because I found them beneficial to getting work on my work in progress done. Anyway, what's your next one?
I've got my next one is to try and do more crafting. I've got so again 5 projects and pieces. I've let me have a look. I've been writing this down. So I've done sunflower made out of card, sunflower painting. These are very sunflowery.
You like sunflowers, we know this.
Sunflowers are my favorite flower. Sunflower painting. I think I've got two of sunflower paintings, and then I did a painting of a cherry blossom. So yeah, I've done a lot of painting, and then like one like I guess physical like crafty project. So yeah, I feel like I'm doing like I'm focusing the idea behind this was so that I'm spending less time reading, which sounds funny for someone that does booktube, but I feel like my spare time I'm trying to fill it with things when I have quiet times other than just reading. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's why the crafting thing was a focus for me.
Oh, well,
And I feel like I'm ticking it.
that's a goal that you're slowly completing. Like a lot of them, these were goals for the year.
And also, I just feel like it has made me feel less anxious when I don't read. Because like you often go through quite big pockets of not reading, and it never bothers you. So, but it used to bother me. Whereas now I feel like I'm at a place now where I can not read for days and
I
days.
do have moments where it will bother me, but
Yeah.
I've reached a point where I'm like last year, it wasn't necessarily about not wanting to read as much. It was wanting to feel less guilt about
Yeah.
taking time away from that. So
Yeah. Exactly.
if I wanted to watch a show, and that was one of my goals, was like, I enjoy this thing, then I would like to do that over the writing. And they're both forms of enjoyment and they're both media.
Exactly.
So
Equally valid.
why am I making myself feel guilty over this? So that's why I try to get rid of the guilt. But if I do reach a point where I'm feeling guilt about not reading, like, oh, well, this just means we need to go and read, then let's go and do that. I only have one goal left,
That's okay.
which was to hold 30 events this year,
Wait.
my writing. And I've checked, and if all of my events go ahead currently, ones that have happened and ones that are planned, I have 25 there. So I have to
That's
find
good.
5 more events by the end of the year.
It's very achievable.
I'm hoping it's achievable. Some libraries didn't get back to me, so I need to follow up with them. And also, like the other issue has just been that I'm finding as I plan these things that a lot of places have actually got plans quite far in advance. And so I missed out on some things because they were booked last year for this year. So really, I ought to be looking at next year now.
That's a good thing anyway, then, isn't
I probably won't go back to Congleton Library again this year, although I'm actually saying that that's a lie. I'm supposed to be going back with poetry. But I do have some events that are more poetic planned that I need to get sorted. So yeah,
it?
we
I feel
should
like
be
you're doing really well with that. I feel like that's definitely a big tick so far. My last ones are really quick anyway. I've got walk more, which I am doing. I feel like I started off really well with that, but then more recently I haven't done as much walking as I would like, ironically, considering we're in the forest right now. And then I've got complete more puzzles, 3 minimum. I think I've done like 2, so I feel like I'm doing okay with that.
I know you definitely did one because I remember the updates about it.
And then the last one is go on adventures and say yes to things. slash have fun, which I feel like I'm trying to do.
Certain things that you've done this year can definitely be classified as adventures. I mean, I've taken myself off on adventures. I had one just last week.
There's some things I've got planned. I want to see more people. I want to do more. Like we'll see. I want to, and like I still always like want to try. But we've got quite busy years, haven't we? This
This
year's
is like
quite.
you're the more sociable Charlie because you're like, oh,
And
I
I
want
want to
to see
see
more
more
people.
people. I feel like I want to
I'm,
cram in.
and I'm over here like I could see fewer people.
I want to do that too.
Yeah, like,
But
you're the kind Charlie.
no, I'm not.
I'm the antisocial Charlie.
I'm antisocial too.
She says after just admitting that she wants to see more people.
No, I want to, but then it does exhaust me. But yeah, my main thing for this summer is obviously we're waiting for the results for the GCSEs and A levels for the kids. So I feel like once that's happened, I feel like I just want to get that done because that's such a big thing in my head, even though it's not me.
But
Yeah,
you want to be able to brag to people and say, look at me, I have intelligent children.
it's yeah. Not that, but it's just like it's worrying me. So I feel like once that's done, and also then obviously coming from that, there's some big changes in my house because Oscar will be off to uni hopefully, and then no Belle's going into college. So it's some big changes. So that's probably like there we go.
You and the husband could just be in a motorhome traveling up and down Britain.
A motorhome. But we're a bit tall for motorhomes.
Okay, fine. You can be in a canoe on the canal.
No, that'd be even tinier. And I'd capsize me in a canoe. That would
There's no
not be
roof on a
safe.
canoe.
Sorry?
There's no roof on a canoe. There you go.
No, but you've got your legs in, you requires balance, and I
You
feel like
need
I
a
would drown.
convertible motorhome. Unfortunately, some gremlins got into the machine. Therefore, Charlie and I only had the opportunity to discuss our reading goals today. However, we hope that you have enjoyed this video. How are you getting on with your reading goals if you made them? Indeed, how is your 2025 going? Let's have a review, and now we're at the halfway point. We hope that you got something out of this video, even if it was simply something to watch whilst you were doing your taxes, because until next time, that is all.